From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Many Red Lodge flood victims have a story to tell, but only one turned hers into a children's book.
I am so proud of you. When the creek said roar, you didn't move.
Plus, drag queens protest and perform at the state capitol.
We are here to support the Montana queer community. We are here to support the Montana community at large.
And we'll check in on the state of newspapers in Montana amid a new round of layoffs. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Friday, April 14th. Our top story this morning, Montana might become the first state to completely ban TikTok. A bill limiting access to the app is expected to pass out of the legislature today. A final House vote is going to happen today before Senate Bill 419 goes to Governor Greg Gianforte's desk. The bill only impacts the distribution of the app. It doesn't have any penalties for TikTok users. Supporters of the ban claim the Chinese government can access data on American users. TikTok denies that claim. A ban will likely face legal challenges in the future, with some Montana businesses arguing it takes away from a key platform for advertising. Exactly 10 months ago, South Central Montana residents had just begun cleaning up from unprecedented flooding. Today, we're still hearing stories about the damage done and the resiliency of the people most impacted. And new this morning, Q2's Diane Parker takes us to Red Lodge. She talks to a woman there, recounting her experience in the form of a children's book.
This house in Red Lodge is the famous yellow house seen teetering right over the edge of Rock Creek during last summer's historic flooding. Today, she stands as a sign of resilience. She is a symbol of hope. She's also the main character in a new children's book.
Once upon a time, in a charming little town near some really big mountains, stood a cute little yellow house.
The book's title, Lil Yellow. Its author and the home's owner, Sarah Higgins, an architect and writer who shares her 1920s miner's home on 9th Street with the world via Airbnb.
Part of my house was falling in. It was appearing on all sorts of newscasts because it was just dangling.
Pretty common sight over the past couple of weeks, homes literally hovering over the riverbanks.
And I just kept thinking, oh girl, just hang in there. And she did.
Lil Yellow is one tough house, still here despite last June's 500-year flood. It eroded her lawn, washed away her hot tub, and even cracked her floor.
Why are you under my porch, Lil Yellow asked the creek. Because I have nowhere else to go, the creek said sadly.
It's a story of camaraderie too good not to tell, and one that has a few notable supporting characters.
Let's do it.
When Lil Yellow woke up the next morning, there was a nice lady from the governor's office looking at her with tears in her eyes. I'm going to make sure your town has help so they can fix the bridge and save Lil Yellow, she said.
All the townspeople pitched in to save Lil Yellow. In fact, the mayor of Red Lodge was among the first to stack sandbags.
This house is a survivor. And I think the people of Red Lodge are survivors.
In a showing of solidarity in the midst of the devastating aftermath, the town moved forward with its 4th of July rodeo and parade.
Suddenly, she saw a parade coming down the street. Lil Yellow loved parades. Then the parade went around her in a circle, and everyone started cheering and cheering. Hip, hip, hooray!
Come hell or high water, Red Lodge rebuilt.
The mayor of the town walked up to Lil Yellow and gave her a friendly pat. She said, Lil Yellow, I am so proud of you. When the creek said roar, you didn't move.
This house is such a character even before the book because it's one of our historic structures.
We all love you and are so happy you didn't fall down. You are 100 years old and nothing will ever make you leave. The end.
In Red Lodge, Diane Parker, MTN News.
Great story, Diane Miller. We have a copy of Lil Yellow right here. Anybody can buy it on Amazon for $13. Again, that's by Sarah Higgins. Very sort of touching, sentimental way to kind of capture the experiences of so many people in southeast Montana in those floods.
Sarah, well done.
Very sweet.
How cool is that? What a great story that was, too.
It was a great story.
What a great one to start the morning off with, you know?
Yes.
All right, here's some great news for you, too. We got a weekend that's looking pretty darn good, coming off in some soggy conditions. Let's take a step back in time. Yesterday, it was colder than average. Our high only got up to about 40, so a good 16 degrees below the norm here in Billings. A little cooler than than usual yesterday morning as well. Had a top gust of 25 miles an hour. Now, it's been a dry start to the month, but look at that. We had about a half an inch of snowfall. That's kind of what we were thinking we would get. And not quite half an inch of precipitation yesterday, but a good wet snow, giving us some of that moisture that we need. You can see for the month we're still in the negative column, but for the year still pacing ahead, and we're still in the hole for the snow totals for the month, but for the season since July 1st we're still ahead. Now the latest drought monitor came out yesterday. For the most part, it's pretty good news out there, but up to the north and to the east here in the Q2 viewing areas, it's still kind of dry, so we can use some moisture. We have still a chance to see a little bit of rain and maybe snow today, and then we'll dry out this weekend, and maybe next week, as we get into the middle part of next week, we could see more of that moisture coming in. 30 right now at the airport, winds out of the northwest at about 3 miles an hour, mainly in the 20s and 30s as we wake up this morning. Highs today 30s, and you're going to see a lot more 40s as we are in a warming trend. A lot of us trying to get back to seasonal tomorrow. Sunday, Monday, we'll get above average with highs in the 60s and some 70s, but that doesn't last, and we'll tell you why coming up with the main forecast coming up.
All righty, Miller, thank you so much. Now we head to the Capitol this morning, where the Capitol building served as the stage for a drag performance. Advocates organized the show as a protest against a bill limiting where drag shows can be held. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has more.
The drag performers who came to the Montana State Capitol on Thursday said they hoped to send a message to state lawmakers.
I speak for myself and the rest of the drag community that we are here to support the Montana queer community. We are here to support the Montana community at large. And nothing more than that. We are here to provide love and support.
Anita Shadow is a performer from Bozeman, one of more than a dozen who took part in Thursday's event. In the morning, drag and transgender performers held a show on the front steps of the Capitol, dancing and lip-syncing to popular songs. In the afternoon, several performers gathered in the rotunda, holding a drag story hour, reading picture books to children. Those actions might not be allowed in these spaces in the future if House Bill 359 becomes law. The bill, sponsored by Republican Representative Braxton Mitchell of Columbia Falls, is intended to keep minors from attending drag shows. Supporters have argued these performances can't be made family-friendly or separated from sexuality, but performers disagree.
Obviously, I'm standing here in front of you in something that's far from inappropriate, and so is the rest of our drag community. We don't show up to all ages events. We don't show up to the Capitol. We don't do any of those things, and something that would be inappropriate.
On Thursday, the Senate Judiciary Committee voted to advance HB 359 to the full Senate. They added an amendment supported by Mitchell that makes a number of revisions to the bill. It now says those under 18 can't attend a drag performance, which is now defined as an obscene performance featuring drag queens or similar entertainers. It also says schools, libraries, and other government-funded facilities can't host drag performances or drag story hours. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Thank you, Jonathan. We'll continue to follow that bill. Also, that bill likely will face a legal challenge if it does pass. Now on to an update this morning on this week's robbery at a Billings Ace Hardware. The man and woman accused of assaulting an employee and stealing tools are officially charged with felonies. According to court documents, 29-year-old Ian Reyes and 20-year-old Kirsten Enemy Hunter filled a cart and walked out without paying. An employee followed them out and Reyes hit her in the face. Police arrested the thieves after a short car chase. Reyes pleaded not guilty to felony robbery yesterday, while Enemy Hunter pleaded not guilty to felony robbery by accountability. And another round of layoffs for Montana's largest newspaper publisher this week has many questioning where the industry is headed. Q2's Charlie Klepps takes a closer look at what the future holds for 13 employees now looking for jobs.
6 of those employees that were laid off worked here at the Billings Gazette. It's been a difficult week for newspapers in Montana, and it raises questions as to where the industry can go from here.
I was pretty upset. I was really just kind of confused.
When Skylar Rispens received the news this week that she was being laid off, she was stunned.
I just immediately felt so horrible for the people that were left.
The 25-year-old was an education reporter for the Missoulian, what she called her dream job.
I wanted to serve communities. I wanted to tell people what was going on. I wanted to be their ears and their eyes.
Unfortunately, she wasn't alone. At least 13 newspaper employees around the state lost their jobs this week, and it has Rispens rethinking her future.
It feels like it's kind of pushing me out of the journalism scene in Montana because There just are so few jobs left.
And she's not wrong. According to Pew Research, newsroom employment in the United States has fallen 57% from 2008 to 2020. Lee Enterprises, the biggest newspaper affiliate in Montana, cut 400 jobs in 2022. Those troubling trends have forced the journalism school at the University of Montana to rethink how they train students.
And we're more interested in you can report and write and adapt to the professional opportunities that arise.
Journalism School Director Lee Banville says that while the newspaper industry is struggling to keep people in jobs, students are still interested in the profession.
I would actually say we have probably more interest in writing and photography than we have in sort of traditional broadcast, even though I would say there are more jobs in traditional broadcast right now.
Technology continues to change the landscape, especially for newspapers, with more people getting their news elsewhere. Still, Banville is confident reporters like Rispens will land on their feet.
If you're a good reporter, you're a good reporter, and you will find a way to get that story to the public.
I don't feel lost in a sense that I don't have any opportunities lying ahead of me. I just feel kind of lost because there's so many different directions that I can go right now.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
New this morning, FBI agents arrested a member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard for allegedly leaking classified documents related to the war in Ukraine. 21-year-old Jack Texiera is accused of posting the documents in an online gaming chat room where members were mostly teenagers. The Pentagon discovered the leak 1 week ago, but he started leaking material last fall. Federal officials are investigating how he gained access to the highly classified documents, as well as how those documents were able to circulate on social media for months undetected. Former President Donald Trump spent much of the day yesterday sitting for a deposition in New York. It was related to a civil lawsuit brought by the New York Attorney General accusing Trump, his company, and his children of business fraud. Today, though, Trump will be in Indianapolis for the annual NRA convention. More than 70,000 gun enthusiasts are expected to gather for the event in Indiana's largest city. The former president will speak this afternoon alongside his former VP, Mike Pence. And nearby fishing access sites seem to be the target of a really bizarre crime recently. Somebody stealing toilets from outhouses. And now FWP is asking for the public's help before these thieves take another throne. Q2's Kelsey Marison reports.
Here at Lake Elmo State Park, many come to fish or just to enjoy some time by the water. But recently, the bathrooms have been targeted. And Fish, Wildlife, and Parks is looking for the public's assistance to help figure out who's stealing all the toilets.
Here in Montana, there's no better place to relax than the great outdoors.
I'm fishing, trying to get some trout.
But it's hard to relax when you have to go and there's no place to do it.
Have you used the facilities here, the bathrooms at all while you're fishing?
I try not to just because of how disgusting they are, and now that I know the toilets are missing, probably not.
That's right. Since the beginning of January, that's become a real problem at several fishing accesses near Billings. Someone is stealing toilets right out of outhouses, leaving nothing behind except a hole in the ground.
It's a pretty odd thing to be stealing. We're just looking for any information that the public might have.
Chrissy Webb with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks says this potty problem isn't just perplexing.
It obviously causes a big inconvenience to users of those sites.
It's pricey.
We have spent over $2,000 just in replacement materials, and then also factoring in, staff time to do those repairs. It has cost the department quite a bit of money with these thefts.
So far, Lake Elmo State Park has been hit twice. Bundy Bridge, Gritty Stone, and Voyager's Rest fishing access sites in Warden were also targeted, forcing FWP to close the bathrooms completely until repairs could be made.
It is a safety hazard to have them open with that component of the restroom missing.
It's upsetting because I put money into conservation, and just to know that people are coming to destroy it makes me fairly upset.
Andrew Carruthers, like many who love recreating here, just want the issue to be solved and the vandals caught so he can continue to enjoy the great outdoors just like he always has, without having to worry about his next trip to the bathroom.
We need to keep our fishing spots and our parks open and clean and healthy and keep the population coming to them. If we keep stealing toilets and stuff like that, people aren't going to come.
In Billings, Kelsey Marison, MTN News.